One of the biggest updates to the Cardano blockchain to date has just been made. Vasile hard fork is what it is. And it's simply given the environment as a whole a huge boost. Who was Fossil, then? How does the Vasile upgrade work? What caused the hard fork to occur? What fresh capabilities are now accessible to developers and ADA holders? The first question is, however, who was Vasile Cardano? His most recent improvement is named for a man by the name of Vasile Dogov Fossil, a mathematician who was born in Bulgaria and who served as a lifelong Cardano ambassador and a close personal friend of Charles Hoskinson. When he tragically passed away in 2021, Vasile was also a lover of the environment, having planted thousands of trees all over the world during his lifetime. Charles made the decision to honor his friend Fossil by naming the Hard Fork Combinator event in his honor. A hard fork is what, then? A hard fork entails a significant modification to the protocol of any blockchain, which in some cases results in the chain separating into two branches. This can happen when two miners simultaneously mint a block and unintentionally fork the chain into two wrong chains. Hard fork combinator events are planned and scheduled updates that are sent out to the nodes by IOHK. Hard forks are typically purposely caused by developers wanting to update code, repair problems, or act on community-voted governance choices in court on this issue. However, this one was a little different than earlier Cardano hard forks in that it wasn't initiated by IOHK directly. Rather, in the instance of the Vassal, the hard fork event was activated when three requirements were satisfied. The most recent node version, 1.3.5.3, was updated in more than 75% of stake pools. The nodes of more than 80% of all liquidity providers have been updated to version 1.3.5.3. The top 10 DAP developers have modified their website scripting, smart contracts, and nodes. At the conclusion of that epoch, Cardano hard forked into the improved Vasile chain once all three requirements had been satisfied. What benefits did this update offer to Cardano? Every Cardano hard fork so far has changed the chain for the better. The first hard fork delivered native tokens, and Shelley added staking. Smart contracts were introduced with the Alonso hard fork. Why is the Vasile hard fork important? What does it promise? It's all about scaling and making things simpler for Cardano devs now that we're in the Bosco age. Partner Cardano ADA. According to Mergo, the Vasile hard fork will significantly improve network performance and the Plutus smart contract programming language, which enables the creation of decentralized Cardano applications. With significant changes to network throughput enhancements in the Plutus smart contract language for DAP developers, Vasile hopes to address all of these various areas. Diffusion pipelining is added to the Cardano blockchain, lowering the latency of block transmission. The Vasile hard fork's main goals are to enhance the Cardano network for all of its users and to enhance the development environment for Cardano developers that use Plutus to build their decentralized applications. To be more precise, the Vasile upgrade includes the previously described diffusion pipelining feature in addition to 3 CIPS, or Cardano improvement proposals. Let's examine each one in more detail. Now, the Vaso upgrade includes the Cardano improvement proposals 31, 32, 33, and 40. And they're mainly focused on a single, little detail. Specifically, they are known as datums. And the chain will significantly benefit from these minuscule data packets linked to transaction outputs. I now wanted to be as comprehensive as I could be while still making each of these CIPS understandable in this subsequent deep dive. The whole link to each CIP abstract will therefore be in the description below if you decide you still want to read more. CIP 30 entails developing a brand new method of accessing these datums from the blockchain without using any ADA. By generating reference input, developers can view output without sending it, lowering chain congestion, enhancing transaction speed, and boosting concurrency. The goal of CIP 32 is to simplify the process by which datums can be attached to outputs. Previously, only hashes of the datums could be attached to outputs, leaving the full data on the spending transaction itself, which led to needless complexity and occasionally off-chain communication between the two sides of the transaction. There is no need for hashes. These datums can be included straight inside outputs. It will be considerably simpler for DAP developers to use CIPS 31 and 32 upgrades to directly point to inputs as a result of this. A developer-focused upgrade known as CIP33 reference scripts are employed. It's a little simpler to explain this one. Consider how repetitive expressions, functions, and portions of code take up space in the programming world that could be utilized for more complicated and feature-rich scripts. Reference scripts entail hosting some of the more often used Plutus expressions on the blockchain itself. This enables developers to use the script on chain as a reference, which reduces the size and cost of transactions. See another developer upgrade, IP40, optimizes the collateralization of Plutus scripts to avoid failed smart contract execution. Diffusion pipelining represents the most significant advancement in terms of accelerating transaction times and scaling the blockchain. Diffusion pipelining speeds up the network's dissemination of information about freshly created blocks. This improvement makes it possible to parallelize block distribution and validation by allowing the distribution of block information before the block is entirely validated on a node. The ultimate aim of this improvement is to guarantee that every freshly formed block gets shared to every stake pool in the whole network in less than 5 seconds, or the maximum delay permitted based on the current global internet rates. The update will also result in an increase in the size of the block, allowing more transactions and accompanying data to be added to the ledger and improving chain performance overall. This gives the consensus process greater headroom in the future. The end consequence of these modifications and enhancements will be a network that is significantly faster and more scalable. So there you have it, a high-level technical summary of the upgrading. But what are we currently able to test drive? Which dApps are utilizing the new features? And will we immediately notice any improvements in on-chain performance? Well, I think we've learned to limit our expectations that a light switch would be flipped and all these new DAP features will instantaneously go online since the Alonso hard fork combinator event. Even now, almost a year after Alonso, there are still only a few dozen dApps on the mainnet. Many developers still need time to incorporate these new features into their applications, and testing takes time in terms of chain performance as well. To give you an example, I have to compare the early days of DEX to Sunday Swap, when some transactions took days to complete. The performance of the chain's consensus layer epoch by epoch improved, congestion decreased, and we were back to 60-second swaps as IOHK adjusted parameters in the background. For Vasile, it will quickly become the same thing. IO once more, HK stated that they would watch the situation following the fork and adjust some settings to create a balance between block size and propagation speed. Therefore, even though you might not immediately notice speedier transactions, performance gains will start to show up at the beginning of each new epoch from this point on. Having said all of that, Vasile focused primarily on equipping the chain for growth while also enhancing developers' access to resources. So there you have it, everyone, a summary of the Vasile hard fork combinator event and my excitement for what it means for Cardano. Most of you are, I'm confident. Please hit the like button and, if you're not already a subscriber, subscribe if you found this video informative or helpful. In the following video, I'll see you. God's grace.